think basically it's just too incredible to be anything else. To be honest, the God of the Old Testament and all of the organized religions, right? I'm not arguing for the case of like, the Catholic Church or the Old Testament. That's how can you argue for that? To be honest, but I think God as a concept, I'd like to try and persuade you on that one.
Ooh, a concept. That wouldn't.
Yeah.
There are plenty of concepts that are imaginary.
Yeah, and I guess it's basically, well, not really. It's sort of like if it's an equation, if you've got an equation with a couple of numbers and an x, you know that the x exists because of the equation, but it's still not, it's not a concrete number. And basically I just think, nature is too incredible, I think, to have just been accidental. And obviously it's very violent as well. Nature is very violent. Children and innocent animals die and life sometimes sucks. But if it is some sort of simulation, I'm just arguing for a creator of the simulation and the fact that we have feelings to observe that simulation with. I think it sort of indicates some sort of creator or some kind of force, some kind of intelligent force there.
I don't know. I'm not really sure what to say. The reason things exist isn't by accident. If God doesn't exist, those are not the competing ideas. I don't know what that's even supposed to mean.
Which bit's supposed to? I know I went on a little bit there, but I just mean it's not entirely accidental. There is some, because I just think it's too incredible. It's just too incredible to just be in, the outcome of a test tube,
But why?
Because think about it. In a void, the world would just be atoms, interacting with each other, attracting, repelling. That would just be atoms in a void, just a mechanical thing. The fact that nature has also created, some sort of us to observe it and have feelings about that. It's just too mind-boggling to even. I know there are things that are beyond human comprehension, obviously quantum physics and stuff, but I just think that is it. I just struggle with believing that would be, that nature, that anything that it's feasible at all without some sort of guiding hand, I guess.
Right. So, do you ever wonder these kinds of things about cow farts?
What they're saying? It's like eroding the environment.
No. Do you ever wonder how it could possibly be that the universe is so majestic and complex that it created cow farts?
Yeah. Have you? Yeah. 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 I think it's all incredible. Like the poop, the heavens above us. It's all too incredible. It is too amazing because, to be honest, you wouldn't even be able to appreciate gold without the poop. It's just too beautiful. The most disgusting piece of feculent shit is still incredibly beautiful.
I don't know if you're being serious or not, but
I'm pretty much being serious. You should see my toilet. It's gorgeous.
Well, what I was trying to get to is most people that make this argument don't do that kind of thing. So, which leads me to think that what you're doing is you're just anthropomorphizing. You're sort of, I think what most people do is they selfishly say, wow, I am experiencing the universe. Gosh darn it, isn't that, there has to be a reason why I am experiencing the universe. And the thing that we imagine is, partly responsible for that ends up being, although it's magical in so many ways, actually has a huge amount in common with us. It's an eternal mind. It has thoughts. It has plans. It has intention, and all that kind of stuff, just like us.
Yeah, just to steel man your argument, I am aware. What is it? It's like human. There is a name for that philosophy where naive people like myself think it's like it's a human centric thing that they think just because it's so
The anthropic principle.
something centricism. It's like something like human centricism. I can't
Oh,
remember the
well,
first.
it's called sort of. It's sometimes called like the Copernican principle or something like that, I think.
Something like that. Douglas Adams talked about it. It was like a puddle in a groove in the ground, and the puddle says, "Isn't this beyond
Yeah.
amazing that this groove was created exactly to the dimensions of my body? It's
Egocentrism,
impossible."
maybe that's what it is.
What,
Oh, actually, the Copernican principle is the opposite of what I was saying. And I knew that, so I don't know why I
that we're
said
not
it.
the center of the
That
universe.
we're not.
I
Yeah,
guess.
well, that we don't occupy a privileged place. It's not just like the Copernican principle is not the argument against geocentrism. It's more of a philosophical argument against, or at least I thought it was, against like that humans are like inherently special or privileged in the universe.
Yeah, that the universe
No,
revolves.
maybe I'm
around
wrong
us.
about that, but that's what I thought at least.
Yeah, but even with all of that information, and even after all these years of considering it, I still think the fact that it did create that beauty and create something to observe it, and we can't, it's non-reductive as well, because science is incapable of describing sensation, because it can describe the hormones and the neuron pathways of a sensation, but it can't describe the sensation. And that is the irreducible part that and that's why I feel that there is still there still is that room for God, even though God not in the sense of an organized religion, but the sense of like a guiding kind of hand.
Okay. I'm not really sure what you mean by science can't explain sensations or whatever. Like we don't know what those experiences are, like made of necessarily, but I think it can describe them. You could just
No, it can't. Science cannot describe. I mean, think about it. If you model perfectly, if you have the perfect mathematical model of a process, think about like anything, like an ant, a perfect mathematical model of an ant. Every atom is accounted for. It's a perfect mathematical simulation. But even with that, it's not an ant. Or even it's better to describe in terms of feeling, actually. Even with a perfect mathematical model of the brain, and you could simulate those thoughts, it still doesn't describe the feeling that it creates.
I mean, maybe feelings are inherently subjective, but I think you can study them scientifically.
You can study them, but you still can't reduce it. Even if you studied it and modeled it perfectly, it still doesn't describe the sensation of the feeling. And that's what
Oh yeah, I
and
don't think
if I
I don't
yeah.
really think that's true. I think they are reducible to brain states. But
Yeah,
there's
they
there's
might be
really
reducible
there's
to
really no
brain
worldview you
states.
can take where you can overcome the problem of a philosophical zombie. There just isn't. The only thing we can do is have working theories that give us confidence about to what degree we are solipsistic or not about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, but once again, I just don't think you can reduce it because it's still a theory, and the theory is not the actual thing. And I'm saying it's just too incredible that the universe has produced us, and we are able to reflect on it and have these sensations about it, feeding like a feedback into the universe. It's just too. I just find it too amazing.
Wait, is your profile picture Darth Jar Jar Binks?
Naturally.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's cool. All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a ton to say like in response, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going around in circles a bit anyway.
In addition to autographed copies of both my books and, of course, Spanky, I'm excited to announce that I now have stickers, tumblers, apparel, and more on my store. Take Spanky, the God-defeating penguin, and can you put that into a logical syllogism, with you wherever you go now.
Probably getting a bit boring, but okay. Then the next thing, I guess, if you still want me around, is MAGA is cancer.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I do think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, so is fascism.
Fascism. So what? So explain your version of fascism.
My version of it?
Well, just your interpretation of fascism. Your definition.
Like if I promise I'm doing it with my eyes closed, like my understanding or my definition of it or whatever, it's like an ultra right wing authoritarian nationalistic movement that seeks to, I would say something like subvert the rights of the individual for the interest of the state. Something like that. And the myth of the state and those kinds of things.
An ultra right-wing nationalist that subverts the individual's wishes for the interest of the state. Now, isn't that just, you just described, okay, if we take away the far right part, we'll put that on the shelf for a second. If it upholds the state above the interest of the individual, is that not just a government?
No, because like any, like, let's say, I don't know. We'll take the United States during the Obama years, right? Or whatever. But back when everything was so great, which I would say is better than it is today in a lot of ways, in so many ways. But
Sure.
the state still had like a total like monopoly on use of force and power. That's just kind of the idea, the Hobbesian, wait, that was Hobbes, right? Who wrote Leviathan? The Leviathan idea of strong government, right? But that's not the same as fascistic, because what a fascistic government does, and even dictate, like a fascistic government typically has a dictator, but even dictatorships are not fascistic. I wouldn't call the Soviet Union fascist. I would call it a totalitarian, authoritarian dictatorship, but not a fascistic one.
Mm-hmm. But why? I mean, it seems like a very thin differentiation between the two now.
A thin differentiation between the Obama administration and the current administration.
Well, no, what you just described with the authoritarian, totalitarian thing, and it all sounds just like it's just removing the rights of the individuals in the interest of the state. I mean, I under penalty of, losing personal freedom and
I mean, under, like, if we had a political swing in this country toward left wing, are you in the United States?
No, I'm in UK.
Okay, I thought so, but I was just wondering. But it's like if we had a left wing swing in the United States after Donald Trump, is it still going to be authoritarian and fascist? It's like, well, what kinds of corrections or whatever are we going to see? Like in the United States, we're seeing a pretty big swing. Like currently, we're seeing, like, for example, Christian nationalistic ideas and right-wing evangelical political ideas becoming really popular. And what I think that does is it subverts the rights of people, like abortion bans that are happening in this country. And it's like, okay, well, if we have a left-wing swing correction to what we're currently seeing, it's going to look, for the most part, sort of like giving people rights back. But then you could say, well, yeah, but when you do that, you're taking away my right to try to impose Christian nationalism or Christian ethics or right-wing political ethics on people. So actually, I'm being oppressed. It's like, no, when I tell you that that you are no longer allowed to deprive people of their personal liberties, I'm not oppressing you.
So what you're saying is the Trump administration is not actually fascist. It's the MAGA movement that has fascist ideals, you're saying. So they would
No,
react
I think
to
the
that
Trump
government.
administration basically is. They're
Yeah.
trying
I mean,
very, very hard to be.
but okay, so the interesting thing is because I live in the UK, the government here is it's like an extension of the United States, really. It has the
You
same
copied
kind
our
of
homework, yeah.
political. Yeah, exactly. Like we're just
Everybody
mini
did.
America now. Yeah. So, I mean, and we have a left-wing government that people say is like too left-wing, but I mean, it just seems like it just seems like it's the popular smear that everyone's calling it. Everything's fascist over there because they happen to be on the right of center, and everyone's calling them over here like leftards and social and communists because they're left of center. But they're both pretty much the same. I mean, if for
No.
5 days the government from England went into America, I couldn't imagine that anyone would see any difference, so it's just what each camp likes to call the other, fascist or communist. It's just
Yeah, but I
hyperbole.
mean, fascism is fairly well understood. Donald Trump called Joe Biden a fascist many, 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 many times, and there's absolutely no. He also called him a communist and a socialist,
Well,
and
that kind of proves what I'm saying. It's just
there's
a very
nothing in
reactionary
there.
word. It's like calling someone a Nazi now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
I know.
it's just what you say.
Except we have this guy Stephen Miller, who even Donald Trump says, "Man, if this," and Stephen Miller is basically running the White House at this point. But Donald Trump himself has said, like in public press conferences, "Man, if this guy got everything he wanted, the whole country would be white." Like he says shit like that openly about the guy. The guy has openly told immigration and customs enforcement officers, "Why are you going after the criminals? We don't want that. We want the shock and awe. We want you to go after families to get people to self-deport and get people to not even want to come to this country."
Do you not think it's an overcorrective? I mean, that's obviously very sad, but like, the UK is falling apart at the seams, right? Like we do have an immigration issue, right? It's getting
I hear
dangerous.
that from people, but
Yeah. I mean, my mother, she lives down the street from me, and there was what they called the Rally of Peace. They came around in cars, Islamic guys, and they were shouting, we're going to rape your daughters and stuff out of the cars. And there was like a whole bunch of cars, and they all came up from one part of UK to just terrorize people near where I live. And obviously that has happened, and that's not even really widely reported, the kind of stuff that goes on here. But do you not think there's an overcorrection? It's very difficult for them to correct exactly. Do you not think there's an overcorrection in some parts, but essentially it's just because the government are imperfect? I mean, and I'm not saying they're perfect in any
like
sense.
what's
But like,
what's the overcorrection? Like, I shouldn't be surprised that all these efforts for egalitarianism and multiculturalism and the taking in of tons and tons of immigrants around the world has caused some political backlash, and so there's going to be a lot of eggs broken as the omelet, which is the correction, takes place.
yeah, essentially. I mean, it's really like both things are in a way a tragedy.
So right. So I can say, I can be kind of charitable. I'm just going to talk about the United States. So like during the Biden administration, it's estimated like 8 to 10 million that people illegally immigrated into the country. Leftists will pretend that's not true, even though they can't really back up the claim or whatever, but whatever. Let's even say it was 3 million or whatever. Okay. So, what people on the left want to do, they think, well, let's just make a pathway for citizenship or whatever. And then there are all these arguments of, well, yeah, but what about the people that are literally waiting in line seeking asylum, that are fleeing war-torn areas? You're just creating an incentive for more illegal immigration in the future, blah, blah, whatever. So that happened. And then there's a response to it that says, no, we should like have a secure border and whatever else. Now, if they were going to deport people that recently entered the country illegally, or what they said they were going to do is go after the worst of the worst, then would I expect perfection from that? No. But that's really not what they're doing. They're not even pretending that that's what they're doing. Sometimes they pretend, but they just lie about it. Like they say, oh yeah, we sent all the worst of the worst to CCOT or Alligator Alcatraz or whatever. Meanwhile, 99 or 90% of them have no criminal record at all, so they don't have anything to justify their claim. They've killed like 27 people off the coast of Venezuela with absolutely zero evidence of any of them doing anything wrong or actually being engaged in any of the thing they're accusing them of, you know?
Yeah.
So they're not doing the like elections have consequences or whatever. We have a right wing or a Republican majority in this country. They're going to be hawkish on immigration. So I don't have to agree with it or accept it, but I can understand like a certain amount of, as they go about doing whatever their policy is. Yeah. Some like maybe families get separated or something like that. But, that's just, it's so much worse than that. It's just so much worse than that.
Yeah, no, it does sound terrible, some of the things going on. But to come back to the statement MAGA is cancer, do you not think that, yeah, those things are terrible, but do you not think that the movement itself, they've perhaps seen the tip of the iceberg of what might happen to the United States? And as bad as the things you're saying are, I assure you they can get a lot worse. And do you not think some of those fears that the MAGA movement has and that they are maybe overreacting to, or that they're just trying to rally around, do you not think some of those fears are justified?
I mean, I don't know. I hear all the time, oh, London is the Muslim stabbing capital of the world. And it's like, okay, is it? I don't know.
It's not.
They lie.
Yeah.
This administration lies about just absolutely everything, even shit that doesn't matter. So, like,
Well,
if they're gonna go around saying, well, don't London my United States, or don't Sweden my, because like Sweden, they say Sweden is the rape capital of the world now. It's like, don't Sweden my America or whatever. I just, unfortunately, they lie about absolutely everything. Like I said, even shit that doesn't matter. So when I hear stuff like that, I'm just inclined not to believe them.
Well, it is hard to decipher what is a lie and what is, and that's part of the fear, I guess, of the common American MAGA person, because they probably also don't know what's a lie and what's truth. It could be terrible. It's very hard, even with us, when it's happening right in front of our eyes. Sometimes you don't know what to believe. I can tell you that the stuff they say about London's maybe not as bad as they say, but there are other parts of England that stuff is going on that even people from London, we don't know what's going on there. Like, you've heard of Rotherham and the grooming gangs, right?
No.
So if you look at Rotherham, this is the biggest cover up. Everything, the reaction in England and the rise of patriotism, it's all really because of Rotherham. They covered up the rape of like 10,000 young girls, I think more, with these grooming gangs in a place called Rotherham. And even they killed some of these young girls, and the police were involved. The girl one time came to the police station. She'd been raped for days. He came to the police station. The policeman took her back to the place, to the guy that had been raping. It was out of control. It was in, you will not believe what you read about this. And that's some of the stuff that's been going on here, but it's hard for us to also know what's lies and what's the truth, because the government is so unreliable, and we know that they're lying about everything else. So why not this? I mean, there's a place down south of London called Luton, and I'm sounding Islamophobic here, but they rounded the Jews up, and then they had to leave. Like, I can't remember exactly the whole thing, but yeah, once again, I mean, my story is so patchy because I don't know the truth, and it's impossible to know because we're hearing it through the government, you know.
So I looked this up, and it says about 1,400 girls is what this ChatGPT is telling me. Like, yes, this happened between the 90s and 2010s.
Yeah, it's a lot more. It's a lot
So
more
a
than that. The
period
numbers
of
here, yeah.
not quite 20 years or whatever, something
No,
like
no,
that,
that's yeah,
or
that
10
is
years
not,
or whatever.
that is not true. That is not
So
true. The
like,
numbers here also change depending on which newspaper you're reading. It changes every week. This thing. I mean, and also the government are
okay,
actively trying to cover it up.
I gotta get in on this though. So like in
Yeah, sure.
America, we had this reckoning, which became a global phenomenon that I'm sure you've heard of, called the Me Too movement, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the numbers were supposed to be, but like literally just in Hollywood, the number of women that were sexually exploited and raped or whatever, over the course of that same period of time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the thousands as well, right? So, and that was, I don't think there was, I'm not aware off the top of my head anyways, of any instances of like the FBI or whatever covering it up. The FBI did cover up. We had this guy over here, what the fuck was his name? Nasser? I can't remember. He was a physical trainer for the University of Michigan, and he worked with the U.S. Women's Olympic team, the gymnastics team.
Yeah,
And
rings
he
a bell.
basically molested like not, how much of this can I actually say? He would like use his hands to do it, and he did this to like, I don't know how many women it was. And the FBI, it was reported to them, and they just literally didn't do anything about it. They sat on the
Yeah.
evidence and didn't do anything about it. It's like the thing you're talking about happens in America with people who are American and whose parents were, and whose grandparents were, and probably great
Yeah.
grandparents.
want
I don't know.
to-
I don't know when Harvey Weinstein, whatever his name is, when
Yeah.
his ancestors or whatever got here.
Well, the
But
thing
like,
is, I don't want to
this
undermine
can
it.
happen like at any level. And so like, what I would do is I would point that out to people or whatever. And I could say, yes, there have been failures that have happened, but they've happened at every instance. I don't think it's a uniquely immigrant thing where the failure happens. I think it's actually more likely to be exposed there because these are people that live mostly in poverty. It took Harvey Weinstein and this Nasser or whatever guy so long to get exposed, because, and then also like the Penn State football program and the Boy Scouts of America and the Catholic Church and all the other churches. I mean, the amount of this shit that's happened in this country is just incredible. And a lot of it gets like, when the powerful groups and the institute, like when the wealthy people and the powerful groups are doing it, yeah, it gets covered up too. You're actually more likely to hear about it if some poorer people do it because they're easier to go after, you know? So
they're not exactly poor in Luton, but and Rotherham, I mean, they are working class, I guess, in Rotherham. But what I will say is, I don't want to undermine what you said about Nadler, but the crimes here, when you read about what occurred in Rotherham, they are much. Like girls, a lot of girls died, and one even apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds like, they apparently they put her in the meat of a kebab shop. It's, I don't want to make it. It's going to sound like a Jewish blood oath, like the kind of propaganda that I'm spouting here. I am Jewish, by the way, but like it's very, very extreme.
Right, I can understand that. Somehow I forgot to bring up Jeffrey Epstein too, in all of that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's awful, and I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm sure horrific things happen there that we don't even know about yet, because you've seen the island. There's all these weird buildings and stuff. Who knows what happened in there? Sorry to swear. I know you're trying to stream this.
I don't really give a shit.
Good. It's hard to talk about this and not swear a little bit, but yeah, I'm just saying it's very hard to decipher the truth and lies from the government. But I will say that they do know that the police were involved in the cover-up of Rotherham. So
right,
it kind of doubly you can't believe what it says. And the numbers here change every day. Honestly, this thing's been going on for a long time now, and people that it was like, this is the cause here of the sickness. But I think basically you hear that stuff in America, and people don't want it to happen there, essentially. And it was Pakistani grooming gangs. That is specifically what it was.
Right.
And so there does seem to be certain cultures that can be imported. And, and I've had Pakistani
Yeah,
friends.
but there you go. You just said Pakistan is a culture of rape or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, I don't really accept that.
Well, no, I'm not saying that's a cultural rape, but how they treat they seem to see the white girls in Rotherham as it didn't seem to be as bad a crime to them if it was conducted on the white girls of Rotherham.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, anybody in the world is capable of thinking that kind of thing, I guess.
But if we let them in slowly, I mean, if we let them in at a rate that seemed manageable, they could assimilate, and those kind of bits of the culture probably wouldn't carry. But when you basically whole areas here are, Bangladeshi, Pakistan, every single area seems like ghettoized in England now, and the culture of that area is not like the culture of the next area. But if you introduce them slowly, they could integrate and assimilate. But it seems like maybe MAGA is just taking precaution and trying to fight back against that onslaught, that it's like a manageable immigration.
Yeah, I mean, I don't support completely what is it? What the fuck is the term? Unvetted, unrestricted, unlimited immigration. I don't think anybody would accept that. And for any leftist that thinks that, it's like, okay, would you support all the Americans moving to some poor country that doesn't speak English and then making them all learn English? And because they have all the money, they buy up all the stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, would you accept some other country forcing to accept America in the interest of them being multicultural?
So
which is a very like whatever kind of thing. But
yeah.
Anyways,
so
I gotta cut you off.
One last thing.
Okay,
No, it's fine.
Make it quick.
Okay, one last thing. So since you're saying that the complete immigration without any borders or anything like that is bad, that's essentially what seemed to happen during the last administration. And do you not think that MAGA is just a reasonable swing of the pendulum? It's just a reaction to what happened,
I mean, I understand it. I think, again, in a lot of cases, they've been lied to. Like in the first administration, which seemed horrible at the time, but it's like, I would gladly take that over what they're doing now. But like, for example, there was a caravan of people fleeing South America from violence, and they kept calling it an invasion. An invasion over and over and over again. They said, but they only said that during the election cycle. And then once the midterms were over, they just completely stopped covering the story, even though the caravan of migrants didn't disappear. So it's literally, there's so much propaganda in the way that they talk about all of it.
That is government propaganda. But then would you just say that the MAGA movement, the individual citizens who aren't informed 100%, maybe they're not cancer. Maybe the government is,
I haven't said this to you, but when I've had this conversation, I say I blame about 90% of it on Trump and his higher ups, because unfortunately, I think people are basically told what to believe in. But most people are not all that original, I don't think. So
yeah, I agree. Look, lovely talking to you. Thank you for your time.